Okay, so I just turned the record on and we're going to go ahead and begin this particular session. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit briefly about this course um, so that we're all on the same page for this. So this is the Getting Googly, the blended version for this summer. So we have some really basic goals with it. We want to first just make sure everybody has a good understanding of the applications that are available inside of Google Workspace. So you'll understand how they work, but also how they work within the classroom setting, which brings us to the next one, which is understanding the DLC. So the digital learning competencies is an important component in terms of being able to integrate technology effectively when you're delivering instruction or whenever you're trying to assess students. There's a lot of elements there that uh, lend itself to effective teaching and learning. So we want to make sure that we promote this and show you how you can implement this into your lessons. It's already informed by things like the ISTE standards and the teacher evaluation system. All of that is a part of it. So it's been established as something that is um, a component of effective teaching. So we want to make sure that we promote the understanding of these DLCs. And then we just want to make sure that we show you how you can connect it to, how you can put the Google tools, applications that are available that you have access to, along with the DLCs to enhance the way that you deliver instruction. So some basic expectations for this course. This is a blended course. So there is this synchronous sessions, but there's also some asynchronous learning as well. So hopefully all of you have access to the course. But this course does end on July 31st. So you'll need to make sure that you have all of your content and resources in or submissions in the course by that date. Um, we also encourage you during this week as you're working on the course to make sure that you check the gradebook regularly. I try to check the gradebook minimum once a day, but I usually try to check it 2 or 3 times a day, particularly if it's for a week-long course. So I try to make sure everything stays up to date. So when you are in a gradebook and you are checking the course and you're looking to see the status of your submissions, you're going to see a couple of symbols there, and I just want to make sure everybody is clear on them. So you're going to see either a green check, which means your course has been submitted. I mean, your assignment has been received and marked as complete. Everything looked good, and so the check mark means you're done with that assignment. The X for that means that we received your assignment, but there's something about it that was incomplete, something that needs to be fixed. Generally speaking, this is usually something very basic, like there's a link that isn't working or it wasn't shared properly. Sometimes it's more than that, but generally speaking, it's something basic like that. But that's what the X means. Just make sure that you check the feedback if you see an X by one of your assignments. And any other symbol that you see by an assignment for you will basically mean that it's ungraded. It means I haven't looked at it yet. So I just want everyone to be aware of what each one of those things means so that when you're going through the gradebook, you know, okay, he hasn't looked at that one yet, so I'm just going to wait for that response. Or there's an X there, I need to go back and look and see what the feedback was for the particular assignment. There are 5 sections in this course. There's a section on Google Docs. There's a section on Google Drawing, Google Mind Maps, Google Slides, and Google Forms. And we're going to spend a little bit more time on Google Forms today talking about that. So, but each section includes a artifact assignment and a reflection assignment. And that those are the main requirements to complete the course. There are a few other small things, but the chunk of the course, the biggest portions of the course, is that artifact assignment, and the reflection assignment is very important as well. So you'll just need to complete 3 of those 5 sections. Um, this week, if you need any support at any point in time, please feel free to email me. I included my email there. It is also in the course. You are also welcome to schedule a meeting with me through Calendly. I put a link to my Calendly in the course. You can schedule a meeting with me if you want. I will tell you my for things outside of this course, my week is filling up rapidly. So if you do need some support with it, and it does not matter what that support is, it could be, I have no idea how to do this particular thing. Can you just walk me through how to complete this particular part? Happy to do that. But yeah, if you need that support, you need a meeting, just schedule it through the Calendly. We'll be able to meet, and I'll walk you through it. In terms of the layout of the course, you're going to see it has the 5E framework. So you're going to see there's going to be an explore section, which basically introduces the tool. You're going to see an engage section where we are going to talk, or at least introduce, the competency that is associated with this particular session. What are some possible competencies that would align with the use of this tool? So you'll see that in the engagement part. You'll also see the use of some of the access to some of the resources to learn more about how to use the tool in the engage section. And then there'll be an exercise section, which will be a guided practice, something that you can just go through, and it'll walk you through just some basic components of how to use that particular tool. So you'll just be able to follow the guides there and just create something from there. And then the evidence part is the artifact and reflection assignments that I was telling you about there. So you'll complete those there. And then the last part is the evaluate section, where you're going to dig a little bit deeper into how this tool could be used for learning going forward. One thing that you may notice as you go through these sections is that there'll be a quick check in each of in several of the sections. There is a quick check. I know in the explore section and the engage sections, for the majority of our sections, there is a quick check, and the quick check is not graded. So you can take it as many times as you want. It's generally just one question on each page, but you won't be able to proceed until you respond to that one correctly. So if you're on a page and you're seeing, you're like, I don't see the next button. How do I get by here? It might be because you haven't completed the, why did my screen go black? Can you guys still see me? Sorry, my screen just went completely black. Yes, so there's a quick check. Just make sure that you answer that one correctly, and that will allow you to proceed in the course. Okay, that was weird. All right, so I'm going to just jump in the course real quick. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned a few things to you. Let me expand this back. Okay. So when you get to the course, you can begin with the Start Me section, and it's just going to give you the basic information. I just wanted to mainly just show you this is where you can schedule a meeting with either myself. Trisha's information is here as well. She knows all this stuff too, so she can help you. But her information, my information are there too, as well as the link to join, or the button to join this meeting. You can go there for that. You'll see some additional information. I'm just going to skip around a little bit about the course and the expectation. There's a course expectation quiz. It's really just you acknowledging that you will complete certain things, or you understand the expectations of the course. One of the pages that you'll see in here is the Get Shareable Links. As I mentioned before, the majority of the issues that we have in this course or just something simple as it weren't the submissions weren't shared properly. So we included some information here about how to share each of these documents with us when you submit it. So you'll see there is this accordion here for, sorry, my screen keeps going black. I don't know what's going on. Can't see anything. Okay, sorry. Yeah, there's an accordion here on how you can share with a Google Doc, a slide, or a drawing. And same thing with the form. It's a little different, so that's why each one of these has a separate accordion associated to it. But you can go there and look to see the best way to share those files with us. And it's just a guide for you. And the last thing I'll mention about this part of the course is when you get to this part, you'll see there's a Google, getting Google applications page where we briefly give you a description of the application. And that's listed here in this description list. You'll notice that each one of these has a little square around it. That square is just something that you can hover over with some additional resources. So I could go here to Google Docs and hover over it, and you'll see there's some buttons there that I can click on to learn a little bit more. I can do the same thing with Google Forms, and there's some additional buttons there, just some additional information to help introduce that particular application to you. Here's Google My Maps. Instead of some buttons, there is a video here. So a lot of these resources are in the module for that section. So you might see this repeated a couple of times. So I didn't want to assume that people know to go here to see that information. So you will see some of these resources also in that section, but that information is there. So once you're ready to begin an application, you can go down here and you'll be able to click on one of these buttons to begin working on whichever application that you want to learn a little bit more about. Okay, you'll also notice that at the bottom of each of the page, there is a module progression bar down here at the bottom that'll let you know in the module where you are. So for example, in this one, this is the last page in this module. It shows me that I've gone through all of these already, and I'm ready. I'm concluding this particular module. So you'll see that too. So if you're ever wondering what that is, that's what that means. Are there any questions about the course, about the expectations, before I go in and start talking a little bit about Google Forms?
Yeah, I had a quick question. Is the thing that you are showing right now, I see that you have it clicked on pages, but that's not available to us. So that will be through module.
Go to the beginning of the course, go to the home page, and up at the top, you'll see Getting Started. From there, from the Start Here button, you'll just progress through the module. And as you progress through the module, you will hit the pages. He's just highlighting certain pages in the course where you need to progress through the course by clicking next on the module and progressing through the module.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Trista. So I'm going to go back to that page. Yes, as Trish was saying, as you progress through the course, you will eventually come to this page, and this is kind of like your beginning, your starting point for where you want to select an application. All right. So for this afternoon, I'm going to go over Google Forms, and we're going to look at this one in a little bit more detail and spend some time here. So for those of you, I know Google Forms is a popular application in our school district. I see it all the time in various departments and just about all of our schools. But in the event that you may not use it often or have created one, I'm going to just talk a little bit about it. So Google Forms is a survey administrator that was developed by Google to collect information. And as educators, we have, somewhat repurposed it a little bit and use it as something we also use to collect data, but we also use it to monitor students and to check the progression, check their understanding related to content. And it gives us a lot of other features inside that lend itself to supporting teaching and learning. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those as we go through it. Okay. I'm not going to go over everything in these sections, but I do want to mention a few things. So when you get to the engage sections in a lot of our courses, what you will see is the engage section will talk a lot about the DLC, the competency that this is connected to. So you're going to see these accordions here that when you click on it, it will show you some potential digital learning competencies that you could attach this to. So there's one on design and technology rich learning experiences. There's one leading students to become active participants, setting educational goals. And those are the competencies that are listed that could possibly be connected to Google Forms under the digital content and instruction focus area. And then there's also the data and assessment focus area that has some competencies that you could connect it to. And we listed one down here. And this one down here is probably going to be the one that I talk a little bit more about today, is integrating digitally enhanced formative and summative assessments as a part of the teaching and learning process. And so I do want to just, as I go through this, just want to mention one thing about this particular, some of the wording in this competency. So I want to focus on this digitally enhanced section. And I just want to make sure we have a clear, common understanding of what this will mean, because this can mean different things depending on who you ask. So for the purposes of this, when it comes to digital enrichment or enriching a product, we are really looking at the ability to use the features of that product in a way that can't be replicated in paper and pencil. So for something to be enriched or digitally enriched from this sense, it needs to be something that I can't do on a paper and pencil test. For example, I can create a multiple choice assessment in Google Forms, but creating a multiple choice assessment on its own is not a digital, it's not enriching the assessment, particularly for the student. It is the same as them just circling it, pressing a button and circling the option. It's pretty much the same thing. However, if we include feedback as an option in the Google form, so that when the student completes the assessment, they can see their responses at the end and see feedback for all of their responses. Now we're enriching that particular assessment. We've added something that we couldn't have done on a paper and pencil. And there's lots of things that you can do. You can add video to a Google form. That is a great form of enrichment. You can set up your form to go to different, to branch out based off responses. That is something that's enriching your assessment. So there's a variety of things that you can do inside of here. So we're going to be talking about that. But I just wanted to mention that as we're going through that. And one last thing, let me make sure I mention this. So as you are designing your artifact and you are constructing your reflection in the evidence portion. It is something that one thing that we are looking at is that we're asking you to select one of these competencies. So it could be this one here. It could be one of these ones under digital content and instructions. You only have to choose one. I would recommend that you only choose one. And once you select that one, what you're trying to do is explain how the product that you made, how does it fully align with that particular competency. So if you choose this first one up here, how is the use of Google Forms encouraging students to pursue their interests, preferences, and differences? You will notice that when you go through some of these competencies, there is a lot of overlap. Like you could make the argument that, exploring or pursuing individual interests, preferences, and differences, there's a lot of overlap with those. So don't let the commas fool you or intimidate you. A lot of the stuff, they work together. So, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware when we're looking at this, we are looking at full alignment. Whichever competency that you chose, your product fully addresses everything in that particular competency. Okay. And here's the quick check I was telling you all about. All right, so I'm going to go through a few things related to a Google form. I'm going to put some things in the chat. So if you want to follow along, you are welcome to do so. The things I'm going to be going over with you are the things that are in the exercise section of this particular section. So this is the exercise portion of Google Forms. So I'm going to cover everything that's dealt with in that, plus a few additional things. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to put out the instructions for this guided practice. So in the notes, gotta make sure I don't send it to just one person. Okay. Here's the link to the guided practice instructions. Oh, whoops. Copy the right in the middle of the thing. Okay, so that should show up now. So if you look at the chat, there is a link that goes to the guided notes. And the guided notes will look something like this. You should see something like this when you pull it up. So there's going to be a couple of things that are inside of here. This will be the first time I've had a chance to do this with a group. So forgive me if we might have to make some adjustments to the permissions, but hopefully everything is set up correctly. You'll be able to open this up the way that you need it to. So you're going to need a couple of other things as a part of this. So there is a pre-made assessment that's linked in there. It's called Angles and Triangles Assessment. And so I believe it's in the first step. And so you'll just click on that and we are going to work from this assessment. So when you click on it, it should ask you to make a copy. and then you'll be able to go from there. Did anyone have trouble accessing the form or the document?
Yes, I did. It did not allow us. It said permission needed.
Okay, for which one?
The first one, the angles and triangles assessment.
Okay. Oh, it's over here. Yep. I did forget about that one. Okay. So I'm going to put it in there one more time. Okay. Try that one. I just put a new link in the chat. Let me know if that one works.
Yeah, that worked.
That one's good? Okay. All right. So we're going to, let me move some things around here for a second. Get you out the way. Okay. Just out of curiosity, has anyone that is joining us today, you can verbally respond, you can give me a thumbs up. But has anyone not created a form, a Google form before? Is Google Forms new to anyone here in the call? All right, good. Okay, so everyone has a little bit of background with Google Forms, so I don't need to go through this is how you get started creating Google Form and where to get started with that part. So what we have here is an assessment here that we're going to, I believe we already have it set to be, no, maybe not. So we're going to make this assessment a quiz, and we're going to add some different components to the form. So I just want to just talk briefly about a few of the elements of the form. So we have our information over here where we can add additional content to our form. So we have our plus sign here where we can add new questions if we need to. So we can click there, and then it'll give us the ability to create a brand new question. You can choose a question type. It gives us the options to make the question required if we need to. So there's a variety of things there, and we will come back to some of this stuff a little bit later. There's also the option to import questions. I really like this option because it gives me the ability to pull questions from other quizzes that I've done before. So for example, for me, I do a lot of forms where I need to collect what school everyone is at. So I have several forms that have a list of all CMS schools. And so whenever I need to create a new form and collect that same information, I can just go here to import questions, and it will allow me to locate another form and pull a question from that one into my new one. So that's one that I really appreciate and I love having around. They have this option for labels. So if you wanted to just start organizing your form here, you can label your form and include that in there as well. They give you a few different types of media that you can include in here, including images and videos. Just remember that the videos need to be YouTube videos. You won't be able to include video from other applications. It will need to be a YouTube video. And then of course, this last part is sections. Sections is basically the ability to create multiple pages in your form, and you can choose that option and you'll be able to create whatever sections that you need to. It's also the way that you'll, whenever you need to branch your form, you need to set it up so that students go into a particular place based off of a response, then the sections is how you would go about doing that. So we're not going to do that part today. We are just going to begin working with the information that we have in here. So the first part in here is the first question that we have on here is the learner's name. We're not going to really make any changes to it. I just want to bring up a couple of points just to make sure everybody was familiar with it. So I'm going to click on the learner's name, and you see that we have this as a short answer question. Right now I have a description. So if I needed to give my people filling it out some additional information to support them when they're filling this out, I can put the description here, so I have that information. But what I want to point to is this more options button at the bottom. You're going to see this more option button, but depending on the question type, you're going to see different bits of information. So you see I have the description option checked off. If I deselected that description option would go away. They also have this option called response validation. So this is something that you can include whenever you want to set requirements for the response. So if you want your response to be something specific, then you can set response validation. So I could go here and I could click response validation, and it will give me the ability to validate the response, to set some requirements for the response. So I could set this response to be a number if I wanted it to be. I can set it to be a number, and that number has to be greater than or between. I can set it to be within a range. So if I'm giving a quiz to my students and the answer has to be between a certain number, I can choose between there and set it up to be that way. So you just have some flexibility with what you do there. And it doesn't have to just be a number. It can be text. And so it gives you options there that the text contains something. So that whatever they type in, it has to contain a specific word or maybe a phrase, or it does not contain. So you have just a variety of choices that you can include inside of here. And if their response doesn't meet the requirements that you set, you have this custom error option. So this custom error option is where you could type in the message that they would receive if they were to put in something that doesn't align with what the parameters that you set. Okay. And they have some other ones that you can set length one. You can set regular expression. I use regular expression when I want something to be exact. Like, for example, if I wanted to password protect my form, I could come here to regular expression and say the word matches, and then whatever I type in here, it has to be exact. I could type in and I'll type in math, and that means math is the password. So in order to answer that question correctly, that has to be exactly in there. So, but you just have some flexibility, and particularly being able to use this as a review for students. You can include things like this in here so that they are working to get the right answer. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned the response validation. You can play with some of the other answer choices. You'll see different types of things that will pop up down here, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. I'm going to turn mine off. Okay. one of the first things that we do on here that you'll see in the exercise and the instructions is for the teacher section, it's going to ask you to include your name in there. So when you open up your form and you're in the teacher sections, go ahead and include your name in there. And you can even move it up if you want to. If you wanted to put it in alphabetical order, you could go over here and you'll see these little dots, and this will give you the ability to drag these in any order that you want. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, I mentioned being able to create sections. And what you'll notice is that whenever you want to add something in Google Form, it will add it wherever your cursor is. So if I put my cursor down here and try to add something, it's going to add it underneath this question. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add a section. So if I click here to add a section, you'll see it puts it right there underneath where my cursor was. And there's my new section. And we are going to title, I think our directions say title this section to be angles. And so now we have a new section listed here. Now, your sections, if you want to rearrange the order of your sections, you can change this. So the angle section doesn't have to live here. If I decided that I wanted it to be above triangles, I can move it. One way that you can do it is you can click these arrows that are pointing at each other. When you oh, I'm sorry, not that one. It's over here. There we go. Those three dots, I'm sorry. We can choose move section. And then now we can change the order of it. So I'm just going to move angles in front of triangles. And then I click save. And then now the change is made. There's angles and it's right above triangles. So again, it was just these three dots over here on the side. And we chose to move section. And that gave us the ability to rearrange the order. Okay, so we're going to add a question in the angles section. It's going to be a multiple choice question. So I'm going to click here and we're going to add a question, and it's going to be multiple choice. And I'm just going to use, and just to be clear, I'm just following the information that is in that document that I gave you that's linked. So one of the things that it asks us to do is to create a question, a multiple choice question titled, select the image that is a right angle. And so we create that option or that question there. I'm going to go ahead and make this a required question. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far? Okay, good. So what we're going to do is I am going to add some images to this form. So in the document, there is a angles pictures for MC options folder. I believe you should have access to it. So when you click on it, you should see a folder. So I have a couple of screens going right now that looks like this, that will have some images in it. And you will want that folder. So my computer's going a little slow. You're going to want this folder, this angles, pictures for multiple choice options. Do you guys have access to that folder? Okay, good. Thank you. And so this folder is going to have images of angles already included in it. Okay, so what we want to do is for our multiple choice question, instead of having text in there for the multiple choice, we're going to have some images in there that students will be able to choose from. And they're going to be able to respond to that, looking at the image and then selecting it from there. And we're going to insert these images as our options. Move this out the way. Okay. So when I go here, I'm going to start adding an image in for my choice options here. And you'll notice that when I hover over my option 1, I have this image button here that will give me the ability to insert a brand new image. So I can click on Add Image, and it will give me the ability to locate that folder. So I can go to my Google Drive, and I can locate that folder. I might have to, for me, I might have to do a few clicks. Okay. And so from here, I can click on one of my images. And it will insert that image in there for me. And so now for my first option choice, I have this image of an angle. And if I wanted to add the other images, I could do the same thing. I'm going to go down here to the next option, select the image button, and then go back to my drive. And I need to start these so I don't have to keep doing this. Okay, so now I have an option for these two, and then I would just repeat that process for those last two images. So I'm just going to try to do that quickly. And I'm just going to leave it as those three for right now. Okay. Any questions about adding images as answer choices in your Google form? All right. So now what I could do, and I believe we have in our document, is we do have the ability to go through here and select the correct answer choices for these. So our form is already set to be a quiz. So we already went up here and clicked on our gear, our settings, and we set up over here as quiz, and we turned this quiz on. And so now this quiz is being scored. So as our students are filling this out, it is capturing everything and scoring it for us. And so now that we have this question created and this form set up as a quiz, we can go through here and start setting up, establishing the correct answers for things. So I can do that. I can go down here to where it says enter key for this particular form. You'll see at the top, it'll give me a point value, so I can establish how many points I want this particular question to be worth. And then I can go over here and select which one of these is the correct answer. So in this case, it's going to be option 3. We can select that one. And then we can give answer feedback. So this is where we have the ability to include some feedback. This is where, going back to what I was saying earlier, about being able to really enrich our assessments, our use of Google Forms. This is one of the ways that we can do that. We can accomplish that. So we can add feedback for our students when they get the incorrect answer. So we can type in a response here, whatever it is that we want to tell them, maybe something a little bit more, something with a little bit more context about why the answer that was chosen is incorrect, or why the answer that is correct, why it is correct. But you could also include links as well as videos down here. And I believe even in the document that's listed, there is a link to a YouTube video that you could include inside of here. So I could go over here and I could put in that link to that YouTube video about angles and press select. And so now when my students get that question incorrect, they have a resource to go to redirect them about what the correct answer is. And so that would be the feedback for incorrect answers, and I could do the same thing for correct answers. Provide them some positive feedback or some additional information about that particular question. I can hit save. And now we have our question set up with a correct response, with feedback, with points associated with it. I'm going to click done. And so that question is all set. And then if I wanted to, I could reuse all the information in this same question. I could go over here and duplicate it, duplicate this form. And now all I would need to do is maybe change this from right to maybe acute angle, and then just follow the same steps that we did before to assign the correct answer and a point value. Again, I could go down here to the answer key. Here my point value is already at a 1. I can choose the first option as the correct answer. You'll notice that you do have the ability to select multiple correct answers. So since I duplicated this question, option 3 was the correct answer. And so by choosing a different option, it just added a potential correct answer. It didn't take away the one that I selected. So I would need to, if there is just one correct answer, in this case there is, I would need to deselect the one that I originally established as the correct answer. Feedback is still there. I could change it if I want to, but since this is basically the same style question. I'm going to leave it the way it is and just click done. And you can continue to go through and build this quiz, build this up to be the way you want. The images don't have to be in the multiple choice. You could include them in the question. That might be something that you want them to reference as they're going through the quiz. So you could put that up there as an option, but there's a lot of different things that you can do. I've also set up some other style questions in here as well. So here you'll see there's some grid style questions. So if you wanted to include those in there, that is something that you could be a part of your questions. Just remember that for your quiz and Google Forms, the answers need to be usually some sort of multiple choice or check all true false kind of style kind of questions. When you ask open-ended questions where they get to type in a response, then you'll just need to go in and mark those answers as correct or incorrect. You do have the ability to go back in and update the grade in the spreadsheet so that it better reflects what the students actually know. So you do have that ability, but it just generally works best when the answers are all multiple choice. Okay. And so once you're done, now, I don't have anybody that's taken my quiz, but all of the information will go to the responses sheet, which is great because, to this responses section, which is nice because it will give you some visuals, some charts, some tables to be able to see how your students did, to get an idea of what their responses are. Those visuals are mobile. So if you needed to copy those or move those to other documents, if you needed to create some charts, you have the ability to do that. The information also can be accessed by going to the spreadsheet. All the information will be collected there. You can see that, and then you can manipulate that data to see any trends that might help inform your instruction going forward. Okay. So there's a variety of things that are available inside of Google Forms that will enrich the way that you use it for summative or formative assessments. So we try to show you a few of those options. Does anybody have any questions about anything related to forms? Okay, perfect. So
how do you create pathways?
How do I create pathways? Oh, you mean like branching? Yes.
Yes.
So what you would do is you would need to establish a question that is the base for your branching. So when they select, you'll need a question so that when they select one of these responses, it will then push them to the proper pathway. So in this case, I'm just going to choose teacher as that pathway. And the way that I would do that is I have my multiple choice question here. And if you remember, I mentioned these 3 dots, and these 3 dots will differ, will give you different information depending on the question type. Well, when I choose multiple choice, you will see I have an option here that says go to section based off of answer. Now I have that largely because I already have sections built inside of here. You may not see that in the multiple choice if you don't have any sections built. So you will need to have sections developed in your quiz so that you could tell it that, oh, when you choose Mrs. Cloud, you're going to go to this section, or when you choose Miss Shoemaker, you're going to go to that section. So I'm going to choose this option, go to section based off answer. And then when I click on it, you'll see it's going to ask me, okay, when you choose Miss Cloud, what section do you want it to go to? Do I want it to continue to the next section, or I can click this drop down and choose another one of the sections that I created? So I could choose anyone who's working with Miss Cloud is going to go to the angle section. Anyone who is working with Mr. Harrison is going to go to the triangle section. Anyone who's going to go to the shoemaker is going to go to the quadrilateral section. And so now whenever a student clicks on one of those options, it will move them to that section when they select it. Now, the next step after that is, what do you want them to do once that section's over? So the group that's going to the angle section, when they finish this particular section, what do you want them to do next? If you want them to conclude the quiz, if you just want them to do that section, then you need to go underneath the section and say, you need to go to this drop down and then select where you want them to go next. So if you want them to conclude this form, then you would just choose submit form. And then now when the students click on Mrs. Cloud and they go to, that will take them to the angles. And when they finish angles, it will submit the form. If the intent is for them to go to another section after they complete this, then you would need to establish which section you want them to go to from here. And just so you can see what it will look like, when I go up here, I can enter test student's name. I can choose Miss Cloud. And then when I click next, it'll take me to the angle section. If I go back and do the same thing, test student, but this time I'm going to choose Miss Shoemaker, and I click next, you'll see it takes me to the quadrilateral section. So that's how you can do the pathways or the sections, and you can build that out as much as you like.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone else have any other questions related to Google Forms or related to the course? Okay, so I believe, I haven't checked the chat, but Trish, did you already put the attendance form in the chat? I know.
Doing it right now.
Okay, so Trish has made a form for us. We just wanted to capture who was here today for this. So when she puts that in there, we just ask that you just complete that for us quickly. And once that's done, that is the end of this session. We thank you for coming out and spending a few minutes with us. And again, if you have any questions about any part of the this section, please let me know. I'll be happy to do whatever I can to help. But
Yes,
once
I
you
have
fill
a
out that
question.
form, you can sign off.
Yes. So according to this quiz that we are going to make, do we have to submit it to you? The guided practice?
The one that we just did,
Yes.
you can. So you can submit it, and there is a form in the course where you can submit that to me. And once you can jump to that section, just submit that one to me, and then you can go ahead and move forward. You're already done with that one.
Okay. So what I understand, so we have to make this a quiz related to angle and triangles. It's not going to be about our class or our topics.
So the exercise section that we did was what was on angles and triangles, and it was just a practice. After you do the exercise section, the next one, which is evidence, is where you create a form around whatever it is, whatever your role is, whatever you teach, whatever your responsibility is. So if you are a facilitator, maybe you make a Google form that's more related to aligned to professional development for your teachers. It's whatever you decide, whatever you want it to be. I think there's some parameters we included in there for it, but those parameters are things like a certain number of questions. I think we asked that you include at least one, like either a question, either an image or a video somewhere in there, little things like that, but you decide what the content is. That's in the evidence section.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just really quick for confirmation, the attendance form has August dates. Go ahead and, okay, I was ahead of myself. Refresh. Okay, got it. 1 second, refresh. There we go. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. And I'll stick around for a few minutes if anybody else has any other questions, but once you fill out that form, you are free to go and enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Now, is there a part 2 that we need to come to Synchronous, or are we done with this part of it?
There is a part 2 Wednesday, the same
Wednesday.
times that we had today, so a 9 or a 1.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can I ask you, Aubrey, what you'll be focusing on Wednesday?
Wednesday morning is going to be Google My Maps, and introducing that to everyone. And in the afternoon, it is going to be a combo of Google Slides and Google Drawing. Those overlap a lot. A lot of the skills that you would use in one, you would use in the other. But that afternoon, we will look at one of those and briefly talk about the other.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you for coming.
About today morning session that we missed, so what was the topic?
We did HyperDocs in Google Docs. So we talked about Google Docs in general, and then how you can create HyperDocs inside of Google Docs. And so we built that together, or we talked about that together. The recording for that will be posted either this evening or first thing in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're done till 4. You're muted.
I think I have someone that scheduled
Oh yeah.
something with me today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can get them in a little bit. Yep. And then what's this afternoon? This is the, is this catalog? Yes, this is catalog.
Yeah. Catalog at 4, and then Aaron wants to meet with us at
At 5.
5 about the 16th and 17th Canvas course show.
Right.
But I'm having a feeling she might, from in between the catalog and that, she may talk to us about what we missed this morning because she got stuck. Oh, that leader name collection thing.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, our calendars, my calendar never looks like this.
Yeah. I've never just, I was, I think it was yesterday I was looking at it because I was just running back through what I needed to talk about for today. And I started looking at my calendar. I was like, I'm about to tell these people to schedule a meeting if they need help, but I don't know if I have any space to meet with anybody.
Yeah. And it's and she's got digital innovation set up for Thursday. Are you gonna be there? Because you're taking Thursdays off, aren't you?
I'll probably will still be there because we're getting closer and closer to the school year.
Yeah. So you may end up having to take them like in October.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go and see, and if it's just informative and she's just telling us like things,
Mhm.
but just I guess I'm just thinking like, as busy as we are this week, I don't anticipate it letting up too much over the next few weeks with the blueprint courses
Yeah.
and this leadership roll call thing. I don't know. I guess I just anticipate just the need for solutions. I just want to just see what they are, and if there needs to be something, then I'll do it. If not,
Yep.
I'll just tell Erin I'm
Yep.
signing off for the day.
Yes, you do that. All right. I'll see you in an hour or so.
Yep, I'll see you then.
Bye.